Hey y'all, this is Billy from Perma Pastures Farm. Okay, we're going to talk about something a little bit different. Now, the reason I'm doing it is because there was a series of events that happened that made me think of back when I was farming in Texas. Okay, if you go back far enough in our YouTube videos, you'll remember seeing me farming at work. And I was doing it with a little bit of a food forest. I was doing it with some chickens. And then I was putting in all the support species, just like we do here, you know? And I remember one day as I was out there working, one of my friends, and he's one of my friends out there, he brought his wife up there. He'd been telling her about what I'd been doing. And she didn't know who I was or what I was or anything about that. I'm out there working because that's how I had to do it. I had to do it on my lunch breaks, my regular breaks and whatever, and doing all this in a 12-hour workday. So it made for a very long day, but it was the most enjoyable part of my day. I remember out there, I'm trying to water everything from a watering can, and he came up with his wife. And the first thing, and I can overhear him, the first thing she says to him is, "He doesn't look like a farmer." And I just kind of laughed at first. Now, keep in mind, this is a black dude. And because I'm not in what they think is a quintessential role of a farmer, I'm not wearing what they think are overalls and all those sort of things that people think that farmers should look like. It just kind of threw her mind in a tailspin, and she didn't really know how to look at all that. Well, I said all that to say this. People, when they think of farmers, they think of the typical farmer you see. You know, you're driving down the road, you see a bunch of cows in the field, right? Or maybe you see a bunch of sheep in the field. Maybe you see a field full of this or a field full of that, right? It's a full field of everything. That's what you think a farm is. Well, Joel Salatin has gone through a great deal of explanation as to what a farm is. And there's a number of other people out there, Jeff Lawton. I mean, the lists are long if you choose to see them. But basically what people think a farmer is and how they farm isn't necessarily correct. Now, if you follow me, this is part of my farm. This is a very small snapshot. But what do you see? What do you see all around me? What do you see everywhere? What you don't see, what you hear in the background, you hear chickens, but they're over there. You might even see some sheep in the background, but what you see is an expanse of what you think is nothingness. That's really not the case. What you don't see is that we treat this farm as a responsible farmer. We treat this in much the same way that a bodybuilder treats his body. What do I mean by that? It's also the same way that a mixed martial artist sees his body or her body. It's all the same way. Think about it. In all that they do in the course of a day in terms of working out and stuff like that, you know what the largest component is? It's rest. That's why people, when they come here, they're generally kind of taken aback because they assume, especially if they aren't permaculture farmers, they automatically assume that there should be animals everywhere. There should be this everywhere. There's a lot going on, but you just don't see it because we take that time to rest. Now, in this particular case, the things I'm showing you behind me are in the rest period. We don't leave animals out there 24/7, just like the people, the owners that did before we got here. Folks, everything I'm standing in fact, I'll kind of take a knee here so you can get a better view of it. Everything I'm standing around here was mud. Everything I'm standing in would have been mud a year and a half, almost 2 years ago. All mud. Why? Because they had the quintessential farm view. There were cows everywhere, and they were absolutely not only decimating the pasture. The trees, the forest you see behind me, it looks pretty decent from here, right? But if we were to go in there, it is an absolute wreck where probably 80% of those trees in there are A, not going to make it, or B, need to come down anyway because they were decimated by too many animals. Folks, that's the point I'm getting at. So we're not completely squared away here. We got pioneer species and what some people would call weeds, but there are less and fewer of them than they were when we first started. And that is because we don't follow the conventional or normal model of what people think farming should be. It's not necessarily the guy out there in overalls. It could be the guy that looks a lot like me, that doesn't necessarily wear a big farm straw hat, although that's fine. And I got one for those that wonder. But it is honestly taking that time to let the land rest. So how do we do that? We take our animals in small batches, run them through in small pieces, and they have a yearly rotation. And because of the rotation we've had, we're seeing life, and we're seeing it abundantly. And it only happens with those periods of rest, not following the mainstream model of just dumping a bunch of animals in a place and expecting it to just be the quintessential farm setting. Because folks, I got news for you. What you think is that quintessential farm setting is honestly one of the most devastating to this environment. So we can, as homesteaders, and permaculture designers and farmers, we can either be the solution or we can continue to be the problem by having too many animals in one spot. So folks, when you come out here and you see this place, you're probably thinking, where are all the animals? Where's this? Where's that? It's all there, but it's being done responsibly. So much so that we're in a position now to where we have too few animals. We've got to have stock out here in much greater numbers and greater numbers that we've ever had before, just to keep up with the growth, or otherwise our problems will start going the other way. This is a pendulum that goes both ways. Folks, the point is, the biggest point I'm trying to make here is that, yes, the animals are here. They're just being used responsibly. We don't have to be the quintessential farmer. We can be the responsible farmer. So folks, I hope that helps. Until next time, this is Billy, the Permaculture Pimp Daddy, where PIMP stands for permaculture is my passion. And all of this is the reasons why. We'll see you next time.